Greetings, Geek Caballeros, to Geek Salad. It's retro review. I am Mike.
Hi, and I'm Jonna, and unfortunately there will only be two Caballeros today.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll see Andy back soon.
Yes. Our little Panchito is not able to join us today. He is still resting and recovering. So we are going to wrap up our Disney month with yet another movie that most people wouldn't think of as one of the important ones of the early Disney period, but turns out this is actually the very first time that Disney decided to combine live action with animation. Other than like if you go back to like his old Alice shorts, then he did that there. But this is his the first time the actual Walt Disney Studios did.
And you can definitely see that the technology had vastly improved.
Yeah.
I think calling this a movie per se might be pushing it. It was more like a series of interconnected shorts.
Yes, yeah. And in fact, the titular Three Caballeros only show up with only about half an hour left of the movie. The movie's only about an hour and 14 minutes as is.
Yes, but they're very you relish when they actually appear. However, yes, of the shorts that were included, what was your favorite?
Honestly, if I had to get, if I had to pick one, it was actually definitely when Panchito shows up after Panchito shows up, because when the Three Caballeros are actually together, that's when I really it kind of clicked in for me. But actually seeing Donald like playing around on the beach with all the senoritas, that was kind of fun because like prior to that,
from duck to wolf.
Yeah, I mean prior to that, like it was clear, like yeah, there was interaction between the animation and the live action, but it was really just like you could tell that Donald and the others were just painted on the film strips. This one, like when Donald actually landed in the towels and they tossed him up, you could actually see the towels come down, and like when he fell in the water, there was a big splash. So they actually did have some special effects going on, and that's what I was like, all right, this is what I was hoping for, something beyond just like, oh, I can see you. Oh, you kissed me, but it was like off camera, so you couldn't actually see the interaction.
My favorite was actually one of the little animated shorts of it. I love the flying gauchito.
Oh, burrito.
Yes, the little burrito who could fly.
Yeah, the flying burro.
It was just
a cute little one.
There was actual tension in the race, and it was just altogether fun. The burro with wings that sings like a bird. Yeah. And he actually got distracted by a bird, which blew the cover.
And I mean, actually, you know what? This movie was more progressive than I was expecting it would be. I mean, it's not. I mean, if you showed it nowadays, there would definitely be several issues against it. But for like 1945, to having Jose Carioca, a Brazilian parrot voiced by a Brazilian actor, and having Panchito Pistores, a Mexican bird, being voiced by a Mexican actor. Especially, even going to like the tiki room in Disney World. Yeah, those are all. None of them are actually voiced by, like, Jose is not voiced by a Mexican actor.
No, and Fritz was definitely
no. None of the actors or none of the parrots are voiced by characters from those countries, but in this case, they actually were, which I
no, they took great pains. And you remember my thought that I expressed at the time was that those were the whitest, quote, Brazilians ever. But when I looked and started reading on it, the Brazilian people were Brazilian. The Mexican people were Mexican. They actually, they may have been the palest ones on the planet, but they actually were of the countries that they were supposed to represent. The musicians, Mexican or Brazilian as need be, were actually Brazilian and Mexican musicians.
Yeah, I mean,
again, it was an interesting take, and maybe it was how the lighting was when the thing was shot. You know, and bearing in mind that they were also having to appeal to Middle America as much as anything else.
Yeah,
but actually, it was impressive, and they gave some actual traditional things, like the Yaya cellar. That is the type of cookie that they have, and
I believe that that singer was actually played by Carmen Miranda's sister,
Aurora Miranda. Yes,
who only died not too long ago. Actually, because Carmen Miranda died like back in the 60s. She died real young, but Aurora Miranda lived quite a long life, I believe.
Where you see little cracks of age, and things that you wouldn't know now. When we were in the Mexican segment, it was strange to me as someone who grew up in California that there was a time when they actually had to explain to people what a piñata was.
Yeah.
Because, of course, today every child who has a birthday party knows what a piñata is.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
but back in 1950s, they would not have known that.
Yeah,
and I thought it was really nice that they included the posada part, the Christmas tradition of that.
Yeah. Actually, actual, like, telling you the actual cultural parties or cultural moments from the actual cultures that they're talking about. So yeah, I mean, especially for the 1940s, I mean, this was even more progressive than a lot of stuff nowadays. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. On the side of things that have not aged well would be Jose Carioca's cigar, but you got to remember the times. Everybody smoked.
And Benchito Pistoles always came around his guns.
Well, I mean, when your last name is Pistoles, what are you going to do?
Yeah, well, that's why nowadays they only call him Penchito. They don't call him Benchito Pistoles.
But they bring some real zip into Donald.
Yeah.
And what would otherwise be a fairly standard Donald trope.
And actually, you know what? I will give Donald credit. For the most part, he actually kept his temper under control for this one.
Even when they were laughing at him. And they do form together a real trickster pair.
Oh, yeah. When they were pulling the piñata out of his reach. Because he's blindfolded, so he got no idea.
Nope. But, yeah, But clearly Donald was having fun with it. Was his birthday present, right?
Yeah. I never knew that he was born on Friday the 13th.
It makes sense, right? Though, when you think about it.
Yeah. I could see him murdering a bunch of camp counselors. Yeah.
But they were having it was interesting reading the history too of why this was made. Yeah. And I wonder if it was as baffling to audiences at the time as it was to me watching it the first time through, because it didn't seem to have a full storyline like we're used to. But in the wake of World War II,
right,
when they were trying to bring the countries south of the border to
make sure that the Nazis didn't infiltrate them.
Like a good neighbor policy.
Yeah.
It makes more sense.
Yeah.
And that was a time too when people were actually finally able to travel again, do things again.
Yeah.
And so in some ways it functioned as a great at least the Mexican portion functioned as a great travel log. Come down, see our fine beaches.
Yeah.
Get away from that cold weather up in your neck of the woods, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can't go to Europe right now, so hey, if you can't go to the French Riviera, go to the Mexican Riviera of Acapulco.
Right? And I'm sure they did by droves. After all, you can drive there.
And I will say, I mean, like this movie, it was a small financial hit for Disney. I mean, I looked it up. It pulled in like 1.6 million in the US, and surprise, surprise, it actually pulled in about $700,000 in Mexico.
Well, everybody was getting good publicity. Even the odd little Anacuna bird, who I love him that he pops up at odd points,
Yeah,
just to cause a little chaos. That train was like to never pull itself together again.
Yeah, I also, you know what? I like the fact that, like, for all like the Mexican music and all the lines and all that, they never subtitled it. So you either knew it or you just went with it.
But if you really want to know, you'll look it up.
Exactly. Yeah.
And even if it means going into your Google Translate for both Mexican and Portuguese.
Yeah. And we must say that this is actually the sequel to Saludos Amigos, which was the first of these two movies that Disney made. But we didn't do Saludos Amigos because this is the first one that combined live action with the animation. Saludos Amigos was solely animation.
Well, and it didn't have Panchito in it either.
Right. It only introduced Jose Carioca.
And it's so just the three of them together are such a wonderful pair. They remain so to this very day. After all, they featured in the reboot of DuckTales.
They did. And I gotta say, watching this one again, it made me want to go back down to Disney World and go on the what is it? Festivus with the Three Caballeros. The Grand Festivus.
Grand Fiesta.
Yeah, that's it, with the Three Caballeros. Maybe want to ride that ride again.
Oh yeah. Well, I couldn't swear to it, but I think they pulled some of that footage of Acapulco for that specific ride.
I mean, they show like the whole map of Mexico with all like different cities. I'm like, I know they had that map on the ride. I know I've seen it.
Yeah, we don't have too much of the trio here, except that they have been added to It's a Small World in the form of marionettes.
Yes. Have they been on there for a while, or are they new addition? Because I know Donald was there.
They've been there for a while.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But the one that surprised me when I was reading up about it too is that little bird, the Aracuan, actually showed up in a float in 2011 in the Sensational Parade at Disneyland.
Huh. Did not know that.
Yeah, and he popped right up with the Three Caballeros.
Yeah, because I know I've seen the Three Caballeros in one of those festival of holidays parades around the holiday times.
And
So
we'll have to see if they make an appearance now when they bring in the new parade for this anniversary. They're doing Paint the Night. So who knows what we'll see.
Yeah, it's the 70th. This is 70th anniversary, right?
I think so. Clearly, the fireworks would be right up Panchito's alley.
Oh yeah. Whole bullfight at the end, and Jose just casually lighting the fuse.
Well, of course, he's the sort of troublemaker character anyway.
Yeah, and Panchito just kind of goes along with it.
He's cool, but he's a bad boy. Might be a minor bad boy, but he's a bad boy. Panchito is too earnest to be a true bad boy.
But yeah, I mean, I can't really think about much more. It's like I said, it's not that long of a movie, and it's really just kind of a bunch of segments. So I can't think of anything else to talk about it. Can you?
Well, it was interesting. Some of the stuff that they had, the songs actually attained some popularity too. Those little songs they had, and I really liked the Mexican one by Dora Luz.
Oh yes,
that
is
some of the animation that they inserted her in was a little disturbing, but her voice was just beautiful, and I liked the song, even the parts of it that I couldn't translate.
Yeah, I will say that the animation, when it gets towards the end, gets very psychedelic.
Yeah, you wondered sometimes what substances they had been partaking of. But for me, most of that was during the section in Bahia with that poor train.
Yeah. I don't know, the whole flowers just kind of appearing, and then her face is in one of the flowers that opens, and then like the woman kind of walking out with all the cactuses kind of different, going weird sizes and shrinking, and that kind of weird.
They were preparing themselves for Alice in Wonderland.
It did not. It definitely reminded me of Alice in Wonderland. That was for sure. But that's where like the whole animation and live action mixing. That's really where it got really impressive. Is that last third of the movie?
Well, they were taking chances, taking risks, and then ultimately we saw the penultimate payoff when they came out with Mary Poppins, and it was fully integrated.
Yeah.
Not just a head or a body part, but interacting with the animated characters, singing and dancing and being a part of their world.
Yeah. And that's like almost 20 years later. I mean, a year and a half after this is Song of the South, where they do their next bit of mixing live action. They do a brief. There is actually a hint of animation in 20,000 Leagues. They animate some like fish swimming by the porthole. But yeah, it's not until Mary Poppins where they're like, oh, this is what we can do with animation and live action combined.
But it had the feeling of something very experimental.
Yeah.
What can we do with this? Let's test it out. And perhaps that's why it gives the feeling more of these loosely interconnected shorts. And that doesn't take away from the fact that there was an overarching story, however loosely connected. And I think the film works on that. You just have to adjust your expectations after we've been indoctrinated for decades with full stories. to go back to this where it's a series of it. And I think we probably over the years have seen bits and pieces of it on things like the Disney Channel as filler, where they would take what they needed and drop the rest.
Yeah. Like I know I've seen Donald in Mathemagic Land before, but I don't know if I've ever seen the entire like bit that was from. I've just seen that clip. So
but it would be interesting to see if we could get the stats on how that is doing on Disney Plus today.
I'm guessing we were probably the first ones to watch in a bit.
Because they're doing shows now that do encompass the Latino cultures. Maybe they're the California and Latino cultures, but they're definitely there. They have a whole series, Primos.
Yes, I have heard of that one.
And the Spanish is incorporated in everything.
And I mean, I know like there've been main characters. Like one of my favorite Disney Channel series from the last 20 years is Owl House, and the main character in that one, Luz Noceda, is definitely Hispanic.
Yeah,
and her mom wields a real mean chancleta.
Surely no Disney character would do anything to get hit with the sandal.
In the Owl House, there are a few people.
I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you.
I'm not that shocked.
Well, Donald can count himself lucky that he kept his temper. Otherwise, one of those ladies on the beach might have whipped off one of her shoes and waded right in.
It's also probably good that Daisy wasn't involved in that movie.
No, yeah, I guess that was a source of some consternation to certain critics at the time with Donald.
Yeah.
The species barrier was a barrier that some people could not deal with.
Oh yeah, I saw like a bit, a couple of lines from one review where they're saying, "Oh yeah, Donald, kissing a live action woman. I bet the Hays Code will kind of go against that one." It's like, dude, really? It's an anthropomorphic animated duck. Get over yourself.
Well, they were a little stuck on such things at the time, but clearly it didn't act as a barrier to the success of the film.
Nope.
So because it, as you say, it did a not inconsiderable business.
Yeah, and especially in Mexico, where they were very, very happy to see their culture represented.
Well, you think about it today, representation is still an issue. So, yes, I'm sure that it was very nice to feel seen for both the Brazilian cultures and the Mexican cultures.
Yeah. I have no doubt about that.
No thoughts from the Penguins on how they felt their representation went. Probably not the best example.
No, that out of all of the shorts, that one kind of felt the most out of place.
It felt like it wanted to be a Chilly Willy cartoon.
Yeah, but like for a movie all about like Spanish and Mexican and Brazilian cultures, and then you just have a penguin. Sure. So the south of the border, okay. Yeah.
Well, they started at the very bottom and worked their way up.
That they did. So yeah. Do you have anything more to say?
Not a whole lot, but other than to say that, however, they came about getting him, it was worth it to have the introduction, truly, of the Three Caballeros, because I can't quite imagine Disney without them now.
Yeah, Yeah, they oddly enough, they don't really get used a whole lot, but when they do get used,
They have an impact.
Yeah.
After all, they are one of the few they're, I should say, two of the few characters who can actually get Donald to lighten up.
Yep.
Lighten up, cut loose, and be fun for more than just his temper.
Yes. And that is a fun song too.
Oh, that song is a banger. It's just
and this was after Fantasia, right?
That
I want to say
one.
Fantasia was 42.
Yes, Caballeros was 44.
45.
It's listed as 44.
Ooh. Huh.
It was released in the US in 1945.
Oh, okay, yeah. Release date December in 1944 in Mexico City, February in 1945 in the United States. Okay.
So, and I have to say that's cool that they released it in Mexico first.
Yeah. that would explain why I made 700,000 there.
But yeah, that was everybody's Christmas splurge.
Yeah.
But it was taking some of the experimentalism of Fantasia, some of the shorts that everybody was used to with Donald, and introduced these wholly new characters that were just such a great addition. So, although I'm not sure that I would go out of my way to watch this one again, I love the fact that it did that for everybody.
Yeah. And the reason I bring up Fantasia is because like there's moments here where like because in Fantasia they do that thing where they like kind of visualize the music and they just have like the lines going doo-doo. They do that again in this movie. Not quite as elaborately as Fantasia, obviously, but I believe it's like when they start playing the initial music accompaniment to the Three Caballeros song.
Yeah, they had to bring in the experimentalism right now or at that time because they were growing as a media.
Yeah,
they were changing. They were working through technical problems and
working through staffing problems too. Because 1944, 1945. Yeah, some of their animators probably would have been drafted at this point.
Yep, and they they were facing a lot of issues at that point because too they'd had sort of a long dry spell other than programs that they did for the government during the war period.
Yeah, it wouldn't be for another 5-6 years later that they'd finally get back on their feet with Cinderella and then Treasure Island, which we've already reviewed. So yeah, that was the Three Caballeros. Have you seen this movie? Did you like it? If so, just comment below. Comment politely below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. We are on the socials at Geek Salad. This Andy always does this. So we're either Geek Salad Radio or Geek Salad Podcast on Facebook. We're Geek Salad Podcasts on Blue Sky or Geek Salad Radio on X, I think.
Get him to write it down for you.
Yeah. Just do a search for Geek Salad, either radio and podcast on Blue Sky, and it's going to be one of those two. So anyway, yeah. So that was actually our Disney month. Thank you so much, Jonna, for joining me.
Thank you for having me, and to everyone out there. Adios and vaya con Dios.
Yeah. So tomorrow is May 1st. So next week we're going to start our month of Mystery Science Theater 3000, where we review 4 of our favorite Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes, which is one of the greatest shows of all time.
A real hardship for you, I'm sure.
Oh yes, yes. And unfortunately, pretty much all of the episodes that we're reviewing are available for free on YouTube. So go ahead and check them out. Yeah, we've got some guests coming on. So I won't reveal who they are just now, but needless to say, our month is going to have lots of different people on there. Well, no, actually, it's going to have more different people on it. No, people you have seen before. Never mind. Once again, Andy is the one that usually does this. So thank you for joining us. Once again, thank you, Jonna. And until next time, go forth and be nerdful. And vaya con Dios, mi amigos.